Hi, welcome to the Ellis Talker Show. I'm DV LeBron. Imagine you get the worst news of your life that you have cancer and it's bad. It may be terminal, it may be stage, whatever it is. Any cancer is bad. And you have to try to find out what resources you have. Is work going to let me stay on? Do I have any legal protections as a vet? I mean, I was exposed to burn pits and stuff. What can I do there? That's where places like Triage Cancer comes in. And I have the CEO of Triage Cancer, Miss Joanna Doran. How are you?
I am good. Thank you. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a friend of mine, a brother in arms, who passed on last year. He was exposed to burn pits in Afghanistan, and in his early 40s, he's passed on to an aggressive form of colon cancer. I love that man, and I got to watch him die, and it was painful. And cancer sucks because just around that time, I also lost my auntie who died of cancer. Cancer thoroughly sucks, and it's taken too many people, and it is some scary news. So, can you tell me a little quick bio on you and the organization, and then we'll get into what you do?
Sure. So I'm a cancer rights attorney by training. And whenever I tell people that, I always get kind of a funny look, and people inevitably ask me, well, what's legal about cancer? And my answer is almost everything. So whether or not the Food and Drug Administration approves a particular treatment is a legal issue. Whether or not an insurance company covers a treatment is a legal issue. Whether or not you get to take time off work to get access to that treatment is a legal issue. Since we don't think of those things as legal issues, we think of them maybe about this healthcare, I get health insurance, but there are protections in the law, and the law creates programs and benefits. So our goal at Triage Cancer is to teach people about what the law says and how they can tap into those benefits, protections to get access to the care that they need, to help people keep their jobs, keep their homes, and not experience financial hardship after a serious medical condition like cancer.
So you found a niche within, because there's a lot of organizations that help with cancer that, but you guys have a certain niche, and our other organizations actually come to you because you have a certain niche. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, absolutely. There are not other organizations providing the education the way that we do. And that does allow us to partner with all of the other cancer organizations that are out there, as well as organizations outside of the cancer community. We really believe in the power of partnerships and making sure that people are aware of resources. We work with organizations that care about the same legal issues, things like making sure that there are paid family leave laws, that caregivers can actually take time off work and have income coming in when they're caring for a family member. So we work on advocacy issues as well with those partner organizations.
Now tell me, what is the most common issue that somebody who's been diagnosed with cancer runs into that you have to help with?
That's a great question. Over decades of doing this work, the issues actually haven't changed. We have new laws and new protections and new benefits, but regardless of who the person is or what type of cancer or where they live, the three main issues that come up for most people are: how is my insurance going to cover my care? So health insurance issues. Can I manage work and my cancer treatment? Their employment issues. And then how do I maintain my finances? How do I keep paying my bills if I'm dealing with the extra cost of cancer treatment? And then also, if there's changes in my work and my income, how do I pay my bills?
Does I mean, they got insurance. If they have insurance, doesn't it, just cover everything and everything's just fine?
No, unfortunately. In the United States, we know that a large percentage of debt in the United States and bankruptcies in the United States are based on medical debt. The majority of the people that have medical debt actually have health insurance. And so that means that it's those out-of-pocket costs that health insurance doesn't cover that is creating a burden for individuals and families. At Triage Cancer, we spend a lot of time talking about financial hardship as the contributing factors to financial hardship. And we think the number one contributor is actually having inadequate health insurance. When someone doesn't have health insurance, we can find options for people in most circumstances. But if people are choosing health insurance or have access to health insurance options that have really high out-of-pocket costs, that's what we call inadequate health insurance, not covering enough so that people do end up in a situation where they have to file bankruptcy.
So let's dive into that. When you run into the average person that comes to you, Joanna, please help me. I got cancer and I got these bills I've been seeing. What is it that you're running into when it comes to that? Our insurance is saying no. And then how can you help somebody when that insurance says no to something that is needed? Because I've heard of that, doctor says, hey, you need this, and insurance says no.
Insurance denials are very common, and that's across all types of insurance. When we're talking about private insurance, where you have an individual or an employer plan, it's very common to face denials. What is much less common for people to understand their rights in those situations and to actually appeal those denials. No one does it. And when I say no one, I mean 99.9% of people are not appealing their claim to them. And that's really hard for us to see, because here we have a consumer protection where you not only can appeal to the insurance company internally, but if they still say no, you get to go by the insurance company to what's called external medical review, where it's an independent entity and they decide whether or not medically necessary for you to get the care that your healthcare team provides for you.
Is this I'm sorry, go.
Unfortunately, this is where we created a consumer protection in a law, but no one knows that it exists. And that's really a failure of our system, that we create protections that no one knows to tap into them.
Well, you see, and that's where I was going to go. Is that a government thing? And so most people don't appeal their judgments. And then I saw that there is a whole bunch of, when I was looking through your page, and I'm going to put her page up later for the organization, that there are a lot of healthcare attorneys in there and people who have worked in that legal healthcare kind of world. And I imagine that's needed if you're going to help people with cancer navigate the systems. Along with financial, for veterans, there's a connection between what you get from the VA and what you get from private insurance, PACT Act or Champ VA or other stuff. Can you kind of talk about that? Because I don't know a lot about it. A lot of vets may not know about it. And a lot of us are coming down with cancer.
Absolutely. So I would say, generally speaking, because it's going to be different based on when you served and how long you served, but someone might be eligible for VA healthcare as well as VA disability benefits or cash payment, depending on when you served. The PACT Act specifically is a federal law named after Sergeant First Class Steve Robinson. The full name of the law is named for him, and honoring our promise to address comprehensive toxic act, where we get the PACT. The PACT Act was a law that increased eligibility for that VA healthcare and VA disability benefits by making individuals presumptively eligible. So prior to the PACT Act, you would have to prove that whatever medical condition you had was directly related to your service. And that's not always an easy thing to prove, especially when we're talking about cancer, because there are lots of reasons that people have cancer. And so what was so groundbreaking about this law is that the VA said, we're not going to require proof. We're going to assume that if you served in these areas during these times, you're presumptively eligible for these benefits.
That's big.
It's pretty huge. And it's definitely a different way for the VA to operate. And so that includes exposure to burn pit. It is for Gulf War and 9/11 veterans. It included expansion of eligibility for certain veterans during even World War II in Vietnam and exposure to Agent Orange, for example. And then there are some veterans who are exposed to radiation in certain roles all over the world where they were working with munitions, for example, and had radiation exposure there. So it created very specific categories of individuals in certain locations or on certain bases who would qualify for these types of benefits.
What is your organization like? If a veteran needs help, what is your organization doing on that side?
So if an individual calls us or emails us for assistance or fills out our online form for our legal and financial navigation program, depending on what the issue is and the questions that someone might have, we will do the research to find out how the law applies to their situation and explain that for an individual, including understanding how to actually tap into those benefits and resources, understand options, weigh the pros and cons of those options so that each individual can make the best decision for that.
Yeah.
We,
Does I'm sorry, go on.
we also have a resource page on our website specifically for individuals who are members of the military and veterans to understand the many benefits that may be available, not just to service members, but also to family members.
Is your organization running into a lot of problems on that side?
I wouldn't say problems. I think with the PAC Act, there was such a large response to it, and the number of people who immediately signed up for benefits, I think that created an initial backlog. But my understanding is that the VA has worked through that and that people are getting more timely responses. So I do think it's a barrier that there are so many benefits. I learn about new benefits every single day because the laws change all the time. We get new programs, new resources. So it's hard for us to keep on top of all of that. And certainly for individuals in the community to know what's available, our goal is to.
Does Triage Cancer, do you have like seminars or educational things where you talk about these things as it applies to veterans or as it applies in general?
We do. So all of our programs and services are free, including our educational events. We have Triage Cancer Conference coming up on October 25th and 26th, which is online. The people can participate from anywhere. And there's a variety of topics related to insurance and employment and finances, even estate planning and medical decision making, getting organized, engaging in advocacy efforts. We cover all of those topics and more. We also have a monthly webinar series where people can learn about a more specific topic. And we have a webinar coming up in November, specifically on benefits for veterans.
Wow, you have one next month?
That one is in November,
November.
but we have one each month. So we just in June had a webinar on caregiving. Next month, our monthly webinar will be on employment rate. So each month is a different.
Are employers, and I should have asked you this earlier, when you get diagnosed with cancer and you actually have to start getting radiation treatment, it starts affecting you. Do you find that a lot of employers don't know the rights of the employee and violate them?
That we definitely see cases where employers are not aware of their obligations under the law, and that oftentimes it's about a lack of communication or effective communication where, an employee might say, is it possible for me to adjust my schedule because I have radiation treatment every morning? So can I start 2 hours later or maybe work, 2 hours later in the day? And that is supposed to be acknowledged by the employer as a request for a reasonable accommodation under fair employment laws, but not every supervisor is going to review or really understand how the law applies to that particular situation. And so we do education of employers and HR professionals so they better understand the law and how they can best support employees with a cancer diagnosis and even caregivers. And then we also do education of individuals and caregivers as well so that they can have more productive conversations with their employers to get what they need.
Joanna, I love how you keep things in a positive tone. And I love that. You don't say problems, you say difficulties. I love that.
We look at things as opportunities to improve situations.
You know what? And I very much try to live that. So I do apologize if it can be, I think that I approach cancer with a stigma like a lot of people, and it's such a negative thing to me. It kind of brings that out, and I apologize.
No apologies. I get the benefit of spending every day working in the cancer community, which can be difficult. There are definitely hard days, and it's a difficult medical condition, and it impacts a lot of people. But we also see amazing work going on in the cancer community and a community that is really focused on trying to help each other. And so there's a lot of good.
Can you tell me, Joanna, a particular case or something that you're really proud that your organization worked on that really helped somebody or helped a lot of people or whatever it is? Maybe a story that you remember most impacted you.
A tough question. We really have the privilege of getting to do the work that we do. I will say, maybe rather than one case that stands out, we get to see the impact of our work every day, where someone comes to us and is incredibly distressed and in a crisis moment. And by the time we get off the phone with them, they are relieved. And, they tell us that their anxiety has been relieved because now they understand what their options are and they know what their next steps are. And for us, that is incredibly important because there isn't anywhere else someone could go for an answer to a question. And so the fact that we are able to answer those questions and to make a cancer experience just a little bit easier for someone is what makes our work so rewarding and why we keep doing what we do.
Tell me, is it a little bit different for parents, that have kids with cancer? Are some of the legalese stuff a little bit different? Some of the supports a little different that you guys have encountered that maybe that they don't know about?
I think it's similar topics. So families understanding how insurance is going to cover care, managing finances. But for parents of children with cancer, the data actually shows that many parents, one parent has to give up their job to be a full-time caregiver. And that certainly has an impact on that individual and their career identity. It has an impact on the family's financial situation. So that can also create strain on the family in kind of unexpected ways or ways we don't really think about. But there are resources for caregivers. There are legal protections for caregivers who need to take time off work as a caregiver. There are some states that have paid leave laws that actually allow caregivers to take time off work and still get paid some of their wages. So our goal is to make sure that they're aware of those programs in their states so that they can step into them and try to alleviate some of that financial burden.
Well, I love this work that you're doing. I was so happy to be able to interview such a good organization that's doing this good work. Have you guys done a lot of lobbying? Has there been laws and stuff that you guys have been, because this is the realm, you're an attorney, have you guys been working on certain laws that have revolve around your work?
Absolutely. We are tracking what is happening at the federal and state and sometimes even local level that might have an impact on the cancer community. And sometimes they might be laws that are about cancer specifically. And sometimes they're laws about things like paid family leave, which, impacts more people than just the cancer community. But we're looking at it through the lens of a cancer diagnosis. So we participate in a lot of coalitions with other organizations who are doing advocacy work. And we're also providing feedback on when laws are being drafted, the language that's being used, what would be helpful versus less helpful, making sure that the needs of the cancer community are being considered as legislation is being drafted. So we pay attention to all of that because we get to see the benefit of legal protections and how they can really make all the difference in someone's experience. And then we also see how people where the law doesn't provide protection or create the loophole. And so we want to make sure that where we can provide feedback on how law practically impacts people.
You talked about the state level. And if somebody's in Texas, can they reach out to you? And do you have a source that will tell them about what is available in Texas?
So we are a national organization. So we help people all over the country in all 50 states. And our educational events, we've actually delivered in person in all 50 states. That was pre-COVID. So we really do have an expansive reach of the people who we're reaching and trying to share information about the resources and laws that are specific to their state. So on our website, we have a state resources page, which has the contact information for their state across many different issues. And then we also have parts of state law where we're tracking the differences of how state handle certain, like COBRA requirement or the state fair employment law and the size of the employer that it applies to. So we try to keep track of those details. We can provide more information to people.
If somebody wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way to get a hold of your organization to get started with any help?
So if someone needs help from our legal and financial navigation program, the fastest way to get a hold of us is to fill out a form on our website. So if you specifically go to triagecancer.org/get help, then you can fill out the form and it will send you an email with a link to our calendar. And then you can schedule the appointment at work for you to talk with our team. But certainly if someone has questions and doesn't have internet access, for example, they can still call us.
I'm going to put that information, folks, in the comments and put it out so that you can check it out if you need that information for friends, etc. That way you can get help from this wonderful organization. You know, I had a guest on yesterday and they were doing something really cool for humanity. I told her it must be really cool to know that your job is making humanity better. I'd like to tell you that too. It must be really cool to have a job where you get to make humanity better. You get to do something for humanity, and that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for what you do. It's beautiful.
I appreciate that.
What I do at the end of my show, always, I give my guests the last word. So if you could go ahead and just kind of talk to my viewers and give your last little bit.
My last word is first going to be thank you for your service. We are privileged to do the work that we do, but I would absolutely prefer that we wouldn't have to, that people wouldn't actually need the information that we have available. And we will keep doing this work until that day.
Thank you again for being on the show. Thank you.